guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to give you the review portion for the Boss Katana 100 1x12 amp combo. They also have a 2x12, and they've got the Katana 50 and of course the Katana Mini. I have the Katana Mini, and I also have now the Katana 100 1x12. And I gotta tell you, it's an amazing amplifier. I first saw these things when they came out, and that was back in when Music City was Music City, but now they're Long McQuade. I've mentioned that before on my channel. The Music City had sold out to Long McQuade, and now we have a Long McQuade North Bay, which is awesome. I love that place. Anyways, I think they love me too, because I spend a lot of money in there. But anyhow, so I got the Katana 100 yesterday, and I played with it in the store a bit, and cranked her up a little, had a little bit of fun with a Strat. And they didn't have anything with humbuckers that was left-handed, and I'm not that great at right-handed yet. I can sneak by a few songs, but doing some stuff, nah. So anyways, I really liked it, enjoyed it, brought it home, and plugged in the SG. Really loving this thing now. My students now get to use my Cube 60. This is my main bad boy now. Anyway, so if you're looking for an amp that's more than capable of gigging, this thing can definitely do it. You can definitely perform live with this thing, no problems. 100 watts, plenty of power. You could even do it with 50 watts, but 100 watts is that much more, right? Yeah. Anyways, it's a couple of decibels difference, but anyway, we'll get into that another day. So with the features on this amp, I'm going to go through them as quickly as we can, okay? So we've got a power switch, we've got the power control, which is 100 watt, 50 watt, half a watt, which is great for apartments, or areas in the house that you want to stay quiet, not piss anybody off. Put it in the half watt mode, retain your tone, and you're happy too. Anyways, and then you have a standby mode, which you commonly see standby on tube amps, and what that allows you to do is to basically you mute your instrument completely. It's kind of like when you hit a tuner pedal and it cuts the sound, same idea. So this allows you to actually change out your amp cords, your wireless gear, or change guitars without all that nasty noise that can actually cause damage to your amp otherwise. So standby mode is cool. And anyways, you got a master control, presence control, reverb, delay FX, booster mod. This is your effects area, okay? You have the tone preset setting area where you can program the buttons for your own settings of stuff that you want to do. Equalizer, of course, bass, mid, treble, master volume as well, gain control. And then you have your amp types. Now this is like the brown sound, the lead channel, the crunch, a clean, as well as acoustic, and then of course your input jack. Now that's the top panel. On the back panel on this amp, I'm going to read this from the manual. By the way, do yourself a favor and read the manual. A few people who've done reviews on this amp, who are also considered pro channels, didn't read their manual, and they made a very critical boo-boo, which we'll talk about. But anyways, on the back of this particular amp, the only things you will find, which is all that's supposed to be there, is your AC input jack, headphone record out, auxiliary line out, effects loop, foot controller connectors, and USB. You will not find a speaker out or a MIDI input. Those are reserved only for the head, okay? You won't find them on the 2x12 apparently, and definitely not on this one. And on the Katana 50, in fact, on the Katana 50, all you're going to find is a foot switch, USB port for programming the amp with, headphone out, headphone and record out, and auxiliary in, and of course your auxiliary or your AC input for your power cord on the Katana 50s. The manual will tell you what should be in your amp and what should not be in your amp. Read the book. Okay? Now, that critical part that everybody screwed up on, that I've watched, was about the acoustic mode. The acoustic mode in this is not, is not an acoustic simulator that will make your electric guitar sound like an acoustic guitar. What that circuit does is it changes the amp over and turns it into an acoustic guitar amplifier so that you can safely plug in your acoustic electric, like one of these, okay, without cooking anything, all right, and without causing damage to anything. Because you're not supposed to plug an acoustic electric guitar into a regular guitar amp. It's a no-no because you can cause damage, okay? You can. Doesn't mean you will, but you can. Especially if you turn the volume up too loud, you're definitely going to cause damage. You should be running an acoustic-only guitar amp for an acoustic electric, or you plug in to a DI box into a sound system, or you mic up your acoustic guitar. Three main methods. Well, with this amp, Boss has put in this circuit that allows the amp to become either a regular guitar amp or an acoustic guitar amp. And that's awesome, right? Now, I haven't been through all the pedals yet in the software, because there's over 50 of them plus, that I can program into this thing pretty much any way I want, okay, for different effects, and I can change out the factory presets too, and all that other jazz, and I've got programmable preset buttons, and we'll go through all that in another video on how to get through that stuff. Probably take a couple of videos. And do stay tuned for the demo video. That's going to be a separate video altogether. I'm going to do a demo on this thing and let you guys hear things in different levels and modes and whatnot. But anyways, so that's the acoustic control area. That's what it's for. Okay, it does convert the amp as an acoustic amp. So when you go back to your regular electric guitar, you go back to the clean channel. If you want to be on clean and use pedals and use built-in effects, if you want to use the other amp models that are there for the lead and the crunch, and even mix other stuff up, you can do that too. There's 16 different ways to Sunday you can mix stuff up, which is great. And there's different levels of each effect area. So this is a little cheap bar that you'll see on the amp in the store. Factory settings, green light. Now each control knob, booster mode, delay effects, and reverb, each have a switch above each one. Okay, and they have colors that they go through: green, red, and orange. Now to me the orange doesn't look very orange, but okay, whatever. But you'll be able to see the difference. So on green you've got a blues drive. This is what Boss put in. Okay, blues drive and chorus. Now you rotate the knob, obviously. It's a rotatable knob. So once you get to the halfway point, you go stitch over, you're on to the chorus side. Or you go the other way to the left, you're on blues drive. Same applies for the rest of these. Digital and tremolo, reverb plate. In the red mode, you're at overdrive and flanger. Analog and T-wah, reverb is spring. Orange mode, distortion, phaser, tape echo, and octave. The octave is pretty freaking awesome, by the way. And then we got Hall effect for reverb. Over 50 customizable effects. Built-in tilt stand, power saturation or power control, so 100 watt, 50 or half watt. And of course you got a custom 12-inch 100 watt speaker sitting in this puppy too. And like I said, this thing can get really loud and very clean. There's a lot of headroom in this amp. And yes, you can gig live with this thing and still cut through the mix without any problem whatsoever. So it's a pretty kick-butt amp. Now, other than that, in the manual, I got this thing, which I assume is for the foot switch, which I didn't see anywhere on the website where it came with a foot switch for this, but I don't know why they give you this. It just didn't make sense to me, because it doesn't even say in the manual or anything about this set of sticker bars. It's like, because it doesn't go anywhere on the amp, so yeah, kind of freaky. But I'll have to call along McQuaid and ask them about that one. But anyhow, so the amp weighs about 35 pounds roughly, so it is heavy to haul around. The kickstand is cool. I actually have the kickstand in use right now, and it gives enough of a tilt to bring the sound up a bit. Otherwise it's straight flat across, and you know, you can actually hear the difference, by the way. Especially if you're paying attention, you will hear the difference. I'm finding so far that the amp is fairly easy to operate. I want to talk to you about the software though. You'll download 3 files from the Boss website. One of which is an update file for the amp that you're going to require more than likely, but you do have to follow their procedure to check and make sure if your amp has already been updated or not. Okay, because it's possible that you've got a more newer released one from the next batch or whatever that you bought, so it's a recent shipment that came in, maybe it's already up to date, they want you to check first, because if you redo an update with the new update, you can damage the amp, okay? If for any reason you screw up on the procedure to do the update, and you do need to do it, right, and you do it, if you screw it up in any way that they list, you will brick the amp, okay? And they're not going to come good for that. So, be warned, okay? But without that update, if you do need it, you are not getting into the program to save any settings. What happened was, of course, they do support the most current software OSs too. So you have Windows 10 and Mac OS High Sierra is also supported, which I'm running Mac OS High Sierra. If you do need to update the drivers in the amp, as soon as you fire up the program and you're hooked to the USB, it will tell you that you should be updating the drivers, because it's not going to let you in. So there's also, but there's two ways to check, but check both just to be sure, okay? But anyways, what happened to me was I downloaded the USB drivers, I put those in, so that was fine, because you do have to put them in for the Mac, and I believe the PC as well. And then of course you download the main program, and so I fired it up because I didn't know if I needed an update or not for that other file, and I guess I did in the end, because it come up with a warning thing that I had to download the latest file thing for it and install it. And of course there are instructions to precisely follow to the T. You must follow them or you can damage the amp. But anyways, so I had to do that before I could get full access to the program. What that meant was, without that update to the amp, you can get in and manipulate all you want, but you cannot save your settings. If you want to be able to save the settings, you need to make sure that that update's been applied to the amplifier. And like I said, you've got to follow the exact precise procedure to do it. But they want you to test your amp either way first. They tell you how to do it to make sure, okay? Very, very serious, okay? So anyways, as far as the rest of this thing goes, I mean, it's a wonderful sounding amp, and it's very loud, very clean. It's packed with features, just, it's incredible. I thought the Fender Mustang was actually pretty cool as far as the fact of it being a modeling amp, and it emulated different amp cabs and stuff, and you could do all kinds of crap. Well, you can do all kinds of stuff with this thing too. And it sounds really good, that's the thing. Like I played on the Line 6s, I didn't like them, and Line 6s had a lot of issues. PV Vipers, well, I haven't played on a Viper, but I can tell you right now, I've done enough research to even I won't go near one. The Fender Mustangs actually, at least the Mustang 1V2s that I had, have actually no issues to date that I'm aware of. I got rid of mine though, because I didn't need them anymore. Especially now that I got the studio equipment set up proper. But then, you know, I've got the Cube 60, which is, it's not really, it's kind of a modeling amp, but it kind of really isn't, because you can't mess with it. You know, it's kind of like, it's got some presets and that's all there is to it, and that's fine. And it takes pedals really well too, and it's obnoxious and clean. But this thing here, this thing's like the cat's ass, man. This is like the, I think for the money, it's a really, I'm not going to say it's the ultimate amp, but it is definitely up there with the rest of them, okay? A lot of amplifiers now are starting more and more to come out, like Hughes and Kettner, for example. They have a power saturation mode like this, where you switch between the wattages. It's called power soaking. And that's what this is too. It goes 100 to 50 to half a watt. And I still may get a Hughes and Kettner yet, I'm not sure. It'd be my first and only tube amp I ever buy. But a lot of amps are doing that. Now the standby mode on this is nice, you know, because you can mute it, plug in, unplug your stuff and not damage anything, and not have to listen to obnoxious noise or piss off your crowd, for example. You know, that sort of thing. So the standby mode on this is really cool. You know, it works well. So I actually, when I turn off the amp, I leave it in standby so that I don't accidentally do something with the power on. So it's just a habit that I'm forming already, and I've only had the thing for like 48 hours, you know, and I've already gone through this. I've read through the manual, and I've done a lot of studying and research, and I've checked other stuff online and everything, and it's just amazing, you know, what you can pick up and learn really quickly. And I will be doing a software tour of this thing eventually. We'll talk more about, you know, the features in the amp and how to use them in other videos and so on and so on. But I would put this amp at an easy 4.5 out of 5. I have no problems with that. You know, it lacks the fact that it's just not a perfect amplifier. Nothing is perfect. It's not the end all to be all. But I mean, if you're looking for an amp that's under 500 bucks, it can gig, it has lots of headroom, it has power soaking capability, you can program effects into it, you can run your own pedals into this too. You know, I've got my whole pedal rack is wired into this, and so I got all those plus what's in the amp. You know, I mean, I can have a real party with this thing, and believe me, it's going to be fun this winter. Anyhow, the size of the amp is good. Physical size is great. It's an open back concept as well, so it does move a lot more volume of air through and everything, and sound. You get very good bass response out of this amp, very good mids and treble response. You know, it's not a tin box either. You know, it's very well balanced. You know, they've done a really good job on the amp. So I'm quite happy with it. You know, and you got the other programmable presets where you can program stuff and you just go one-touch stuff, and you know, it's nice. You know, the nicest thing about it is there's no digital display either, which is something that's a huge plus for me. I hate digital displays on amplifiers. I will talk to you about that in another video. But for under $500 amp, definitely worth every penny. It is definitely going to suit, you know, guys that are gigging. They need all that power. You've got it, you know, cut through the mix, no problems. You know, so I mean, it's very idealistic. You want to play it in even a room this small, put it in the 1/2 watt mode, retain your tone, enjoy the hell out of it, you know, and not piss people off. Even that 1/2 watt, by the way, can be quite loud, you know, but it's not going to be to the point where it's horrible or deafening to you. So yeah, so that's pretty much about what I got for you today on this thing. I like it. Actually, I love it. It's a great amp. I'm glad I got it, you know, and I'm glad I also waited long enough too for a lot of these bugs to be cleared over and all that, because they did run into a few problems with these amps, and I realized that, and I'm glad for the fact that, you know, things have seemed to have been fixed up rather nicely, and that they do support the software, and they're constantly keeping things up to date, which is more than I can actually say for Fender at this point, where they're not so hot at doing that. They're a little bit more on the delayed side, but hey, you know, they're all different companies, right? Boss has been around a long time. They know their stuff. They know what they're doing. But like I said, it's still not the end all to be all. There's better amps out there, you know. My idea of the perfect amp, if there is such a thing, would be something that would have the tone that I appreciate, and it would have bass, mid, treble, volume, and a power switch. Nothing else. Not even a dirty channel. Well, maybe I'll accept a dirty channel because it's kind of not bad. But I really would prefer not, you know, and that to me would be the ideal. So why don't I go out and buy something like that? Why? It's going to cost me too much money, for one. And number two, I can appreciate these amps because I can do so much with them. But if I was in the business of, you know, playing in front of thousands of people, or I'm in an actual professional studio situation, blah, 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 and I'm a recording artist, full out, putting out CDs and stuff, that would be the kind of amp I would go for all around. That would be my ideal kind of amp, okay? And something with lots of headroom too. You know, even if you don't use the wattage, it's nice to have it because it keeps things clean in the higher end. And that's good because that's what you want. You don't want the thing to start clipping the amp. You know, there's a point where you naturally overdrive stuff, but you're still not clipping. But as soon as you start clipping an amplifier, you damage the amp, you damage the voice coil of the speaker, you overheat stuff, and that's when stuff starts to cook and go bad, okay? And a lot of people don't understand that, okay? And that's fine, we'll talk about that yet another video someday. But until then, hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sure I probably missed a few things or forgot a few things, and that's fine. That's why I rely on you guys to ask questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If I've got the answer, you're going to get it right away. If not, give me a few days and then I'll respond to you, you know, after I get the answer for you that you're after, if there is one, okay? In the meantime, hey, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and then click the bell for notifications for when I upload videos. Lots more gear videos coming up in 2018 for you guys that are into the gear stuff like I am. And of course, RC stuff's going to be coming more once the weather cooperates. We thought we were getting a bit of a warm up, but turned out, we got about minus 40 out there right now. And even I ain't playing with my RCs outside. Oh, too cold. Anyways, thanks guys, and hey, we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.